Welcome back. My name is Larry Gurnt, and I am a recovering narcissist. No, I'm y'all know me by now. You know me as a love-starved, but fairly rational person, right? Anyway, I wanted to come on tonight and just do a show, and I have some kind of resistance to planning shows. I don't know why that is. So what I'm going to do is just cover a few things that I've been thinking about, maybe more. I don't know how long I'm going to go. I'm bucking all the advice of YouTube specialists who say that you should package your stuff in small little bites, and that's easier for people, and it's more successful for some reason. I'm going to do that, because I believe in that. There should be bite-sized little nuggets. But not tonight. Tonight's going to be me talking to you about where we're at with disclosure. And I'm going to also touch on something I forgot to do for you last time, which is, you know how I am. I think it works, but it has its faults. What I do is I let the stream of consciousness go, because I just let it run, because all of these different thoughts pop into your head, and not all of them might be your own. Some of them might be a little gift from above. You never know. That's the way it works. There's this little stream of thoughts, and you're picking which one you're going to accept. There's all these possibilities. It's almost like quantum. Oh my God, I got to go shut Alexa. Alexa, stop. I don't know exactly what turned her on, but she started talking from the kitchen. I don't know how much of that you heard. And I thought it was my wife at first, but she just kept talking as if she had something to say, and that was not like her. So anyway, how y'all doing? Should I ask? Cher wrote a song many years ago called Song for the Lonely. And I swear those words could have been written by Jesus. This is a song for the lonely when your dreams won't come true. This prayer is for you, something like that. That's not it, I'm not Cher, but I heard those words, when your dreams won't come true, and yeah. That just breaks my heart, because, well, I think that's true for all of us. Our dreams just don't come true, and that's because we're living in a world where it's a tough world. We're not expected to be, according to Jesus, we're not expected to live it up down here. we're supposed to enjoy life in a normal way. I'm not going to define normal, but what he was saying was that, the where we're headed is such a fantastic world, the kingdom of heaven, whatever that is, that you should probably think about, what am I trying to say? That we were not meant really to be like extremely happy down here. That wasn't apparently the plan. The plan was to have us learn how things are, who we are, and how we should interact in the world, and that comes from a school of hard knocks like we're in, and then this. It makes sense to me that, this is a school because you might ask the question, well, if there's a kingdom of heaven, why aren't we just already there? Why weren't we born there, right? Because the Elohim's, according to the Bible, the way they lay it out is that God, has sons of his own, and they're immortal. You could call those the angels. And, a lot of people ask, well, how come we're not God's sons automatically? It's hard to answer that one. So we'll let that, a lot of people will ask that. And I think that once we graduate, down here, we will be, maybe a little higher than the angels, because the angels actually never lived a life down here, a life of mortality. And they're going to be very jealous of the end result of human beings who have been through the ringer. Because the ironic thing about life that I have come to believe is that the more pain you suffer, the better of a person you end up being. And that's a tough prescription, for a life. Oh, you're going to go down there and you're going to suffer and you're going to learn all these lessons, but you're not going to like it. It's just life's going to be a bitch, and then you're going to die. But then you'll be back up here with us, and you'll think it's all worth it. Oh, my soul is so enriched. I have learned so many lessons about what not to do. I guess that's the way it works, huh? But anyway, so what I do is my mode of operation is just to go with the stream of thought. But what happens is, and I'll make promises that I'm going to come back to something or cover something, and then I don't end up covering it. So one of those things that I felt like I should cover, and I'll try to do it quickly, is the word Elohim, and what exactly is going on with that in the Bible. I know I've talked about this before, but what I'm going to try to show you is that the original understanding of them was that they were a sort of a race. Okay, and I'll prove that with just a couple verses that seem to indicate that indeed that is, and this is something that many people don't talk about. They haven't found this particular verse that I'm going to show you. So I'm kind of happy about that it's more kind of like a ET exclusive. The ET is my channel, right? Conveniently. So, I'm making some changes to my studio. I've got a teleprompter now, so I can tell when I'm looking at the camera, I can actually see what's going out live. A teleprompter is an odd thing. I'm not using it for text. I'm just using it. I'll show it to you. I don't want to bore you. I'll show it to you when I have a camera that I can swing around and show it to you with. The other thing I'm going to cover, which I'm really remiss on, and this is one where I meant to cover it a long time ago, My theory about the story of Adam and Eve and the pain in childbirth being the crux of that discovery. Well, I credited Michio for completing my theory because I was stuck for a long time on this. And I had a theory that I was quite sure was true. But there was one thing that was bugging me. And I'll explain that, and then I'll actually play the clip, the audio clip from 2018. That's when it dropped into my lap. And that completed my theory. And I was just like, wow, that is just, it felt like, you like to think God just let it drop in your lap, because you wanted to know. That's what I like to think. I don't know. We don't know anything. God darn it. Faith, right? I hate that word. But I do want you to all have faith, because if you don't know, we have a bright future, and we're in a dark time. So anybody that has a sense of what's coming and thinks it's a good thing, what's coming on the other side of this. And I know I'm very vague about this, right? Because the question people would have is, well, what exactly do you mean, like, on the other side of this? Do you mean like when we die? Because that's what it sounds like sometimes when you're saying that. Yeah, I wish that it doesn't happen when we die, because I don't want to wait that long. I'm 65 now, and I'm in reasonable health, I think. And like I said, if it doesn't happen in my lifetime, then I think there's no justice in the universe, because I deserve something good to happen at the end of my life, my shit life. And I even had a good job, so there's probably something wrong with me. But that's my feeling, is that I've had a shit life, cursed almost. I told you about that story about the guy that in third grade. Anyway, I digress, right? You ever gonna light that cigarette? Yeah, I'm gonna say again, because I got one subscriber just for saying it. If you're smoking, you better be smoking organic, because you know how big those tobacco leaves are, right? Well, you know that they spray pesticides on those things, right? So that's just a big collector of pesticides. And then they're going to dry that and give it to you and blame tobacco itself for cancer. Well, I'm no doctor, but I can tell you that not having those chemicals would be better than having them. So the only way you're going to avoid them is with the organic. American Spirit Organic. And I am not getting any kickbacks from them. Okay. Yes, so I'm very excited to be able to play you that little clip, and to, so that's another loose end that I'm wrapping up here. So the Elohim and the Michio, and then I just got to play you some clips of some stuff that I've seen about religion. Religion is coming up more and more because we've just seen the country forced into a religious law, which was. If I can just weigh in real quickly on this, I've been right about this all along. I knew nobody cared about abortion. And Herschel Walker is just, the GOP is happy to accept Herschel Walker, who paid for his, it was his ex-wife, actually, who paid for her abortion. I don't care if he paid for anybody's abortion. That's fine. What I care about is that they just made it illegal, and that this man would like to, actually his platform is to make it this guy's running for senator in Georgia, and he's not that far away. He's like 3 points away right now from his Democratic rival. And the guy is dumb as a rock. But I think he probably has a good heart, except that somewhere in his heart, it doesn't feel wrong for him to just make outrageous lies. And that's what really bugs me, is that the GOP is not only willing to admit that their whole family values thing was just a big ruse. It's just all about power. They finally admitted it. One of the pundits on the right wing, Fox News, she said, I know, I'll get off politics in a minute. But she said, I don't care if he got some skank pregnant. That was his ex-wife. And paid for an abortion. I want to win the Senate. Yeah, that's the way it is. Nobody gives a shit about abortion. The ones who really care about abortion are well, actually, they don't care about it, but they've been taught to believe that if they take a stance on it, and these are the evangelicals, if they take a stance on it, then they'll be considered holy. And this is what the pastors are telling them. Why are the pastors telling them that? Because it's much easier to make your flock feel like coming back. You want to make them feel like, they really are good people for coming to church, and that they have these positions of anti-abortion. That they hold those positions makes them holy, and they don't really have to work on themselves and do anything else. Although they do. I mean, I'm exaggerating. There's a lot of people like my brother who's a very good Christian who doesn't, he doesn't do bullshit like that. But I mean, in general, I think, I don't think anybody really cares. And so it's being proven now. I mean, Republicans certainly don't care. So who does care? Well, the people from the evangelicals, like I said, and but they don't actually care either. They're just using this as it's a hallmark. You have to hold that position to be in this club, and you get to feel holy for having that position, right? I think that's what's going on. I'm not positive, but I do think that might be what's going on. So how did I get on that? Well, yeah, I was going to show you what somebody on the Young Turks. He is an atheist, but he made a really good point about how religion went wrong, and it's just real short, but I'll play that for you too. So let's get on with it. I want to go to the Michio Kaku. By the way, I'm really waiting. I'm really excited about. Well, not excited. Really wondering what's going to happen. I'm in suspense about the. Oh God! Yeah, I should have been checking my levels. I hope I haven't been clipping on the audio. I'm a little bit too hot here. Yeah, at the end of this month, just a few days before the election, October 31st, they're supposed to release the government's supposed to release another report on UAP. Now, I don't remember what the specifics of it are supposed to be, but, anything that's going to be on UAP that's going to be a public report, they've been mandated, to do this, going all the way back to 1947. So if they're, the last hearing that we had, if they come out and try to pull that same shit again, where they just put up a couple of bozos who don't know anything and think that's going to safeguard their position, because we've seen them. They're trying to walk everything back. I mean, okay, I can't go on without talking about Avi Loeb, okay? Boy, this makes me mad. Okay, here's what happened, and you guys probably already know, but I got to go over it. First of all, I never thought Avi Loeb was very smart. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people who really like him. But, and he probably is smart, but I think he is just like all the other scientists in academia, where they have been so rigidly opposed to any kind of research into paranormal or UFOs, things like that. And so when Avi got excited about the Oumuamua, which was that a long rock-looking thing, which was not actually, we don't know what it looked like, but that was an artist's conception, I guess, based on the data. Anyway, when it left our solar system, it accelerated, and nobody can explain how that happened. So, to Avi's credit, he starts thinking maybe this is an extraterrestrial craft, and I'm thinking, oh, that's great, Avi. I'm glad you're stoking that fire. But then I was immediately disappointed, because he was saying, well, maybe it deployed a solar sail to get away from. Remember the solar sail, NASA's idea of how we might be able to travel through space? Must be pathetic. It must be. What are you guys in Black Ops, if you're listening to this? And I know some people do. I don't know if any Black Ops are listening to this, but if you are, what must you be thinking when you watch academia in their current stuck state, where they don't have an understanding of UAP, and you do, because you're working with this. I know you can't reproduce it yet, but you're looking at us as a bunch of dummies who and you're looking at yourselves as the in folks. You're the insiders. You're more important because you have access to something that nobody else in the world. You have knowledge that we're not alone in. You're not allowed to tell anybody. And it makes you feel special, doesn't it? That's why we don't get many whistleblowers. And now we're about to legalize it. Anyway, so here's what happens with Avi Loeb. We're about to legalize coming forward from the military. So that should happen at the end of the year. The amnesty amendment is what I'm talking about. Anyway, so in Ukraine, the scientists there, astronomers, a bunch of them put together, and this is their top scientists in the astronomical field. And it is an astronomical field. Ba-doop-ba. Thanks, I'll be here all week. But they came out with a report that they said they were seeing UAPs, traveling at unheard of speeds. And Avi said, well, why did Avi have anything to say? Because the bloody government, from our current UAP task force, whatever it's called, Arrow, sent someone over to Avi's house. Come on in the living room, let's talk about something. Well, what they wanted him to do was, they said, Ukraine came out with this report. We were wondering if you could write a report yourself. Which, if that's all we're told. We're not told, what the rest of the conversation was like. Hey, you're free to say whatever you want. We just want you to talk about it. Just want you to, because we don't think we think they're probably just misidentifying artillery, shells and stuff like that. That's all. They got the distance wrong. That's what Avi ended up saying in response to getting a visit at his home to write a report. Okay, well, as Thomas Fessler so quickly pointed out and so rightly pointed out, did the Tic Tac make fireballs? Because Avi said, if these things were actually going that fast, they would be creating fireballs in the atmosphere because they're the friction. Well, that shows Avi doesn't know anything about the characteristics of the current UFOs, which fits my belief all along that Avi is just a scientist who has been his interest has been piqued by the Oumuamua object, and all of a sudden he found himself on a rising track in fame and fortune on being on TV talking. And boy, how quickly he was willing to just tamp down that report, say, oh yeah, they just got they probably got the distance wrong, and that's why they thought they were moving at this speed, but they actually weren't. Okay. I'm glad I got that out. So, Avi Loeb is on my shit list. Christopher Mellon has been so far, until the other day, a very useful person, a very kind of a hero. He's a former director of intelligence, I forget how long ago. But he's been a big key inside player, and he has made some very remarkable statements. But he also recently tamped down something. What was it? It was about the logo. I'm not going to cover that logo story. Everybody in the world's covering it. But just if you're not aware, there was a logo that came out from the government that had a flying saucer in it, as well as the airplanes and stuff like that, jets and stuff. And then they when the public noticed it, they came. Okay, I'm telling the story, and I told you I wouldn't say it. But they took it down and said, oh, that was a mistake. And as Ross Coulthart said tonight, that was a steaming pile of bullshit. I'm sorry. I hope it doesn't hurt my channel when I swear, but man, you gotta swear sometimes. Because you know what swearing is when you're in pain. And you want someone to hear you. And so to get the added insurance that someone is hearing you, you use swear words. And always gets attention. That's why we do it. And it's effective. Even if I'm alone, I'll swear. Because I know I'll get attention later. I mean, if I'm being recorded. All right, so I'm really off track. So let's go. Now, before the first thing I'm going to cover is the Michio. I want to do the Michio Kaku thing. So I just got to give you the quick skinny on what this is all about. My regulars will have to forgive me for a quick repeat of my greatest discovery. It's been my contention from reading just the first chapter of Genesis that we were extraterrestrials genetically engineered us, and that is the missing link. Okay. Now, the name of those extraterrestrials is given to us in the Bible as the name of God, which is Elohim, the Hebrew word. and it's a plural. So this is referring to the extraterrestrials who created us. I mean, they didn't create us like the Bible says. At least Yahweh didn't, create this extraterrestrial race. Didn't create us. They genetically engineered us. Who created life and the DNA molecule is a total mystery to me and to everyone else. Scientists can't explain how something like that could emerge. So what we know about the universe so far is that human beings, and maybe this is the case all over the galaxy, is that we're kind of we're being farmed. We're being farmed by the Elohim, and we're their project. And I'm really curious why we were never allowed to see what God looks like, and not God, but Yahweh. But anyway, to make this short, my reading of the story of Adam and Eve revealed something, because I was thinking along these lines that the Elohim genetically engineered us. And when I read the story about Adam and Eve and the punishments that were delved out, I immediately got stuck on Eve's punishment, which was pain in childbirth. Now, I asked myself, how in the world, when you're thinking about punishing someone, like for the serpent, he gave him quite a punishment, according to the Bible. I'm not sure I believe this part, but he said that the serpent had legs, but his punishment was that his legs, he would no longer have his legs, and that so he would be going on his belly. So that was his punishment. But Adam's punishment was weird. It was like, I'm going to make life rough for you by cursing the earth. And so thorns and thistles it shall yield to you, and you'll till it by the sweat of your brow until you die. And then you'll just return to the ground. Really, pretty dark, right off the bat. Okay. But so, I mean, I don't want to go into all the things that I didn't like about the story, but I'll suffice it to say that the story never made a lot of sense to me, because I couldn't see God. I couldn't see God not expecting them to take the fruit, So anyway, now when we get to this punishment, and he says to Eve's punishment, he says, I'm going to make your childbirthing very painful. That's your punishment. So, like I said, that's ridiculous. Where do you come up with something like that? So my first thought was, well, maybe it's something that's that I'm missing. That's maybe there's something else in the Bible that would explain that. There wasn't. I read the whole thing, and I was looking for that all the way through. There was nothing. So to come to this punishment, and I'm putting that in quotes because it wasn't a punishment. It was the result of how they were engineered. Now let me explain. In order to create, according to the Sumerians, we might have been created as a worker race. In fact, the way the Sumerians describe it, and this is starting to become pretty well accepted, is that they they had some work that they needed done. Some people say it was mining gold. I mean, Zecharia Sitchin speculated that it might have been mining gold. But he's not saying that the texts themselves say that. But what they do say is that we were created to help them, to be their slave race, And we had to be smarter in order. They saw the natural primates there, but they couldn't work with that. They needed someone that they could actually speak to and direct. So I had to have somebody smart. And it's a little sad to think that maybe was how we got created. But that's the way the story goes. And this is what, this was told to the Sumerians. Now, it may not be the truth. Maybe the ones telling them that were lying. But, it kind of feels like it might be true. But anyway, so where are we here? Gosh, I completely lost my place. Worker race. So they had to make us smarter. And that means bigger brains. And that means a bigger head. Okay? Now think about pain in childbirth. Why is there pain in childbirth in human beings and not so much in other animals? You don't really see painful childbirth in animals. Not like ours. We're screaming our heads off. So, and I understand not all women have that, but majority, very painful. Well, it's because the heads were made bigger in the genetic engineering, but the womb was not made bigger. Well, why is that? If they're genetic engineers and can't they make the womb, if they know the head's going to be larger, then they have to make the womb larger so that, it won't hurt. But they couldn't do it. I didn't know that. I was just asking that question. And I felt before I could really push this theory forward, I had to explain that, and I couldn't. So I think I was sitting on it for a couple of years. And then in 2018, this dropped. This is Michio Kaku. And he's my hero for this. And he's going to explain, in a talk from 2018 entitled The Future of Humanity. And I'm not going to get into that's a pretty lofty title. I'm not going to get into everything he covered because I don't really know anymore. It's been a while. But I know that he got on this tack where it was very close to what I had been thinking. And when I heard it, I just looked up and said, wow. Okay, so check it out.
I mean, think about it. Animals can fly. Animals can run much faster than us. Animals can have talons. They can have claws. They can have tentacles. They can have much more superhuman abilities than poor, puny humans. In other words, we had to evolve. We had to create something that gave us an edge over those animals that were faster, that could fly, that could do all sorts of things that we cannot. And what was that? The brain. The brain explodes in size after birth. You realize that when a child is born, they're basically a fetus. That is, their brain is not well formed at all. But after they're born, that's when the brain starts to really explode in size outside the womb. Now, why is that? Anthropologists believe that it's because of the size of our birth canal. That was the price we paid for walking upright. The fact that we walk upright puts a limit to how big the birth canal can be.
That is the key point right there. The birth canal is related to walking upright. And if they enlarge the birth canal, of course, now Michio is really just imagining that we evolved this way naturally. I'm saying that no, this was the same group of people, beings who said to Eve, I'm going to cause pain in childbirth, and that's your punishment. And you can see now that it was not her punishment. It was really, if anybody should be punished, it should be them, because they made childbearing really, really difficult for us. But I guess there's ways around that. But that's what the story of Adam and Eve is doing. It's giving you an excuse for the pain in childbirth, when in fact the actual cause, again, was that they engineered our brains to be larger, and just a bit larger before they come out. But once they come out, they get much bigger, according to Michio. I didn't know that, but apparently that's how it works. But even so, they made it a little bit larger just before it even comes out of the womb. And that little extra size is what the problem is. And they were not able to fix that, because if they did, if they would have made the birth canal larger, it would have made walking upright impossible. So Michio's saying that. Let me just back that up again a little bit here.
Price we pay for walking upright. The fact that we walk upright puts a limit to how big the birth canal can be, and therefore puts a limit in terms of the size of the brain at birth. But we need a lot more brain power to survive and compete in a forest where we are maladapted, where we don't run fast, we can't fly, we don't have talons, we don't have claws, we don't have big muscles. No, in order for us to be competitive with all the other animals, we had to expand in brain size. And that's why the brain explodes in size after birth. Now, you realize that this has, in some sense, biblical implications. Because what was the penalty to Eve for giving the apple to Adam? According to the Bible, it was pain in childbirth.
Boom.
So why do women have pain in childbirth? It seems so unnecessary. It's because of the explosion in the size of the brain. But the size of the birth canal, because of mechanics, is already the maximum size. And that's why women have pain in childbirth, because in some sense, it's the punishment for knowledge, the punishment for a big brain.
Oh my God. That was so perfect. Something just happened on my screen here. Let me fix that. Okay. Yeah. Let's go back to, oh my God, that was what he said at the end there. The punishment for a larger brain is pain in childbirth. Mm-hmm. Oh, Michio, without you, I would never have been able to tie it all together. So I must thank you, and I think the stars aligned. Folks, we've got proof without going any further than the simple concept of we were genetically engineered, not created, and that the missing link is the Elohim race, and that what they did is they made our brains larger, and they mixed their genes with ours maybe, or this tweaked ours, I don't know. They said that they created us in their image, so that would really mean that they mixed their genes with us. Now I've heard the biblical conservatives saying, oh no, that just means that's figuratively, like we're made, our spirit is made in the same spirit as God. Well, no, it's not, because you say our spirit is black until we Catholics say that our heart is black until we accept Christ. So fuck that bullshit. Oh God, I'm going to get in trouble. YouTube's not going to recommend anybody to my site because I'm swearing too much. So I'm going to have to be careful with that, especially frivolous swearing. I don't mind swearing every once in a while, but frivolous is not good. Okay. So, did you like that, kids? I hope so, because, God darn it, it's my greatest discovery, and it's not like a mathematical discovery. It's more of a, I mean, holy smokes, the Bible's been out for how long? 1,000 years, and how could somebody get new information from reading the Bible? Well, it turns out the reason for all of this, is, for one thing, we have 21st century eyes. And that means that we understand that, extraterrestrials exist, and that they are very likely the missing link. And, so we understand that ancient alien theory now. And we understand that things that, like Arthur C. Clarke famously said, any technology which is sufficiently advanced will be perceived as magic by anyone who's not that, botched that. But you know what I mean. So, I'm pretty much saying what I saw a thumbnail on YouTube the other day. It was from a Paul Wallace video. The title was just fantastic. The title was, "Is the Bible about ETs? I mean, is the Bible about God, or is it about ETs?" That's a great question. It's so provocative. And I'm telling you, the Bible is about ETs. So where does that leave us with God? God exists. I'm convinced of that because I've had some experiences, but I don't know what form He created this universe, and whoever it is, if it's a who, or I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to like the idea that it's the source of who we are, and that we are a chip off the old block, and we are stardust, we are golden. We've got to get back to the garden. No, I don't want to go back to that fucking garden. That's where all the deception started. Jesus said that Satan was a liar from the beginning. He may well have been. But when you go back to the beginning of the Bible, what you find is that Yahweh was the one who was lying, not the serpent. And I've proven that in my previous videos, like the one, There Is No Original Sin. So, I mean, that's the end of that little segment. I was glad to be able to finally get that piece out for you. Next on our little agenda is I want to show you a clip of a guy from, let's see, TYT the other day. I think he's a new, he's a new contributor, maybe. He's a comedian, and he's an atheist. And I'm not, but the guy, being a comedian, one of the things that I've noticed is they just, it's all about the truth. The comedy is all about. So this guy is very honest about he's being very truthful about his own views, even though he's also being a little funny, but he's being very truthful. And the point that he's going to make that I really wanted you to see is about how it comes a little bit later. I'll give you like an advanced few like a minute or two just to get a feel for what he's talking about. But when he gets 2 or 3 minutes into it, he hits the pay dirt for me, and it's about being sure. Now, pastors, if you're going to be a pastor, for example, you have to go to seminary school and learn all the right things, and then you have to go learn how to keep your flock happy with your message and all that. And one of the things that would work against that for you is if you didn't seem like you were very sure about things. Like you could say, it's controversial about whether Jesus died for our sins, or whether they really had to be paid for like that, or whether maybe that was he could do the right thing and say, well, for the first 1,000 years, Christians believed that Jesus was paying off a debt to Satan because we had all sold our souls to Satan. And because he used the word ransom, that Jesus would be a ransom for many, they called this ransom theory. And they felt that their understanding was that, he bought us back from Satan by what? Giving his life, laying down his life. So all of that is something that he could say. He could say that's what our belief was 1,000 years ago, and then for these reasons we now think it might be like this, and if you go too much like that, people are just going to say, well, what are we supposed to believe? What's true? So, they quickly learn that, you can't come up there with some wishy-washy, hey, scientific, it might be this 40% chance here, but, 80% chance here. So you can't do that. You have to come up and say, Jesus died for your sins. So you kind of owe him, but you gotta thank him, and you gotta come to church and show your appreciation. And tithing is, of course, welcome. So anyway, without further ado, let's watch this guy nail that point. Even though it wasn't his main point, he did nail it so nicely.
Not believing there is a God proves there is a God, because you need to have a God to not believe in it. Literally the same as saying, if you don't believe Bigfoot is real, that proves Bigfoot is real because there's a word called Bigfoot about an imaginary thing somebody made up. It's a level of insanity, and it just speaks to the levels that people are willing to go to delude themselves. Of course, you should believe whatever makes you feel comforted in this very strange world. You should have whatever religious belief makes you feel happy, makes you feel warm and soothed, all good. But when you try to act as though it is fact-based, when you try to act as though even those who don't believe in it are completely ridiculous because you believe in a thing that was written in a book once, it is written that you don't have critical thinking skills. And that's just how I see it. But Anna, what do you think?
My favorite thing about, I'm going to generalize and say a lot of men, but it's particularly pronounced among conservative men, is the unearned confidence when they're speaking, and especially when they're saying something stupid. And you see that in the clip. You see, like, he's got his chin up a little bit, and he's like, I'm going to make a super smart point. Everyone's going to love it. It's so deep. It's so deep. So deep it'll put your ass to sleep. Like, it's terrible. Like, it's just, anyway. The other thing I want to say is, when I have deeply held beliefs and values, I'm confident in those beliefs and values. to the point where others not believing what I believe doesn't make me insecure about those beliefs and values. And so if you get triggered by people disagreeing with you on things like faith, religion, the existence of God, ask yourself why. Is it because you're questioning the existence of God? Is that maybe what's going on here? I don't know. But either way, do you, I'ma do me, right? Like why I don't understand people who are so like frustrated with the non-believers. It's okay. And by the way, there are plenty of people who don't need religion to determine what is and is not moral. There are plenty of wonderful people out there who do kind things to others, for others, and they don't believe in any religion because they don't need religious doctrine to determine what is right and wrong. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and I think you've just found your new Twitter bio. Do you, I'ma do me.
Yeah, I like that. Do you, I'ma do me. I'm not sure what she's saying is true, because I think that the people who don't have a proclaimed belief in God, they have an inner knowing that something is happening. They just don't know exactly how to put it into words, but they certainly do not agree with what they see in religion. And so they know either they've looked at it closely enough to know that it was full of shit. And I say that literally. I mean, I say that not as a slight against the people that are in it, but a slight against the pastors who were so sure that, this is how it is, and they've really let us down. They've really led us down the wrong road, and therefore there is no wisdom coming out of these people anymore. They're stuck on their audience captured. They're stuck on things like abortion and anti-gay and whatever they can find that they think. I'm not going to go too far, and I think a lot of it's projection. But anyway, this guy is going to make the point now when he comes back and talks, and I like what he has to say here. I think
is probably the best phrase I've ever heard, but it also speaks to the hypocrisy often of people that are very religious. A lot of times they are very Republican, and they claim that they're all about freedom. They're all about about not ever regulating thought or telling people how they can be. And at the same time, they only have one very specific, very outdated way to see the world. And, I joked a minute ago, but when people say things to prove the Bible, they'll always skip over the point of proof. They'll say, it is written. It is written just means somebody wrote it. Like my stand-up act is written, doesn't make it gospel. It doesn't make any sense. And it's actually a joke from my special where I say that, of course, believe what you want to believe, but people always cite as backup proof the only place that says Jesus is God, for example, or whatever your religion is. They have bumper stickers in their car that says, Jesus is God, read the Bible. That's exactly like saying animals can talk. Watch Dr. Doolittle. Yeah, in that story, that's true. But where's the proof that it's a true story? That's the part you're missing, homie.
Yeah, totally. By the way, I saw a bumper sticker the other day that was like a play off of the "Don't Tread on Me," sign.
Pretty incredible. But that at least is something objective. It's good advice to not step on a snake. Snakes are real. I saw a bumper sticker the other day, and they believe that because they have a sticker that says "Pray for America," that they're better than us, that they're better than people that don't believe in their own version. What's so sad about it to me is that we all pray for America in our own special way. Just some of us don't think the prayers are magical. Just some of us think prayers means we're putting it out there into the universe. Okay. If there is a God...
Well, I don't see it here, no.
wonderful. Let's hope that he blesses this country, but also in the pretty likely chance that there isn't one, or if there is, it's not the exact man in the sky that you've always been told it is.
Boom.
We can also do things to help improve the lives of people with our own actions here on earth, and don't need to rely on a guy in the sky and be like, oh, I'm praying for you. Thoughts and prayers yet again.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure if I caught the part where he said, I'm pretty sure. So the whole point of that clip was maybe lost, but it's still fun to watch him talk. And, I think I think he's just one step away, one experience away from having an expanded vision. He's ready to have more information come in. It's just that he hasn't seen it yet. And it's not going to come from religion. Trust me. But there is a wonderful truth out there. I'm here to testify to that. And, I had an experience that taught me that. And I'm so convinced of it, and I can't explain to you why. But just take my word for it for what it's worth. There is something wonderful happening here, and we're just in the worst parts of it. That's why I think it might be only fair that we who have to go through. Back here. Yes, the teleprompter saves me again. See, when I look at the teleprompter, I by the way, it's not showing like text or anything like this. It's showing this what you're seeing. So that way I can tell, like, oh, I didn't switch back to this mode, So, okay. Now, let me put my notes over here. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to show you my notes, and I can't even do that now. Let's see, where are they? Unbelievable. I think that means I'm supposed to stop here. Maybe that would be a good place to stop, because I'm running out of energy, and I'll be back soon. Believe me. This is. I'm going to try to be less lazy, and I've got most of my studio set up now, so the way I like it. So, so I think with that, we'll start the music here, and a song called "Feelin' Fine." Someday we will be. Oh, I'm going to talk about how the lion could lay down with the lamb next episode. It has all to do with physics. Until then, I love you